Hello everyone, it is the Techno Man here, and in this episode we are going to attempt to repair this original Xbox. Now it is the Halo Special Edition, as you can see right here, and I picked it up off Facebook Marketplace, $85, untested. Now I got it home, plugged it in, tried to turn it on, and wouldn't you know it, nothing happened. no life out of this console. So today we're going to take it apart, and we're going to see what's going on. Now this actually is the second Halo edition I've owned of the Xbox, and this is the second Xbox I've ever owned. So I've only ever owned these special edition ones. I love them. I think every Xbox should have came in this color, honestly. I mean, it fits the theme so well. And they're beautiful consoles. Now the first thing you really want to do if you ever buy a console secondhand is clean it. You know, these things get pretty nasty, and this particular one came from a smoker's home, which, you know, smoke all you want, but save your electronics from it. It really does some damage to the cleanliness of your console. The soot settles on everything, but in this case, some glass cleaner, you know, here if I can get it in the shot, some glass cleaner, a microfiber rag, and a magic eraser to get any scuffs off. And I also have some brushes, or should I say a brush here to brush the vents and everything. And yeah, just get it nice and clean. To clean the grates, there's a little trick that I use with a screwdriver. Just take a flathead screwdriver there. What I like to do is take the rag here, put your screwdriver in there, and you can take that, get in those vents all over the Xbox, because the Xbox is covered in these little vents. I don't think they're really vents. Some of them are, but these ones are not. The side ones are. So like I said, no power, no life coming out of this Xbox. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to disassemble it, take a look inside, see what could be wrong. Another thing about cleaning before I continue on is probably going to get some contact cleaner, clean out, in this case, the AV ports of the power port, the Ethernet jack, and the controller ports, just to make sure they're real nice and clean, no corrosion, stuff like that. So before I work on the console, I'm going to put down this rag. It is a little bit dirty, but it is most of it is from cleaning this console, which I have already done. So I've always put down a towel because we are going to be working with this Xbox on its back, or on its top. And here you see, if you've never taken apart an Xbox before, I'm not going to go too in-depth, but there's a great video, I'll link it down below, of another creator, I forget his name at the moment, that did a great video on how to disassemble this. But there's just going to be 6 screws on the bottom, 4 under these feet, and then there's 2 under these stickers here. And we're just going to take those off. And these feet, you can save them. Here I only have 3, so I'm going to replace them with something that I'll show you in a minute. But you can save them, you know, stick them to a piece of like wax paper so they don't get nasty. But here, I'm just going to peel them off. So here we have these 6 screws, and these, I have my iFixit toolkit here. These are going to be Torx 20 bits, which I already have in my screwdriver here. So just going to take these out, and they're pretty long screws. If you don't feel like anything's happening, the threading is short on them. I don't know if you can see that. It's probably not going to focus. Nope. It's just a really long bolt, short threads but long bolt. And keep these somewhere safe. I have this little bowl. I usually have magnetic part trays, but I can't find any right now. I'm just going to continue by taking all these out. There we go. Alright, so now that we have the feet removed, I'm going to flip it upright, and I'm still going to keep this towel down because we do have the feet off. So it is now resting on the surface. So this just pulls right off. Or at least it should. What am I thinking? I forgot 2 of the screws. Now they're all out. Flip it around, and it should just pop right off like that. Here, and usually on this, you'd have an RF shield. I did remove mine. I have had this apart before I made the video. But I did remove that, and once you remove it, you can't really put it back on, so I left it off. So here, we're just going to disconnect these cables going to the hard drive. Be careful. These are ribbon, or they're pretty thick ribbon cables, but you know, you could still break them. To get this out, use a screwdriver here to just push on these levers. Comes out like a Molex connector you'd see on a normal hard drive. It's just a little bit more of a pain to get into. There we go. And then you're going to take this, you're going to pull it out of this guide here, because we are going to have to remove this. Now once you get the case screws off, you're going to go from a Torx T20 to a T10. And the first screw you're going to loosen up under here is this one. And that comes up pretty easy. I'll try to get that with my finger. There's that one. And then this comes right out. Just set that to the side. Now we're going to take out the disk drive. It's got 2 screws up front. Then it lifts out as well, just with those 2 screws. And you're going to have 2 cables connected to the back. You're just going to remove those. Just like that. I'm going to set that over here. Alright, so now you have your motherboard and your power supply. You're going to unplug the power supply. We're not going to remove it today. And this is kind of a pain. There we go. So we're just removing the motherboard today. And usually you unplug this fan connector. I already had it unplugged because I've already had this apart. Alright, so now you have, I believe it's 9 screws, maybe 8. So you have 8 on the board, and then there's 2 here on the video connector. You're just going to loosen those, or you're going to remove those. And these are all the same size. And it might be nice if you have it to get a magnet, because some of these screws are hard to get to. And just use the magnet to get the screws out once you unscrew them, like this. And I'm also going to go ahead and remove this, I believe it's an IDE cable for the CD drive. I'm going to remove it to get it out of our way. And this one too, which I believe is the power for the CD drive, DVD drive, whatever. Okay, our motherboard's almost ready to be removed. We're just going to unplug these 3 connectors here. And those 3 plugs are for the controller ports and the front board for the eject button and all that. Once you get all the screws out and everything unplugged, you just lift up the board from this side and bring it back a little bit. Like that. Be very careful with it. And it should come out. Don't use too much force, because you will break something. So if anything gives you any resistance, just work slowly around it. Make sure everything's unplugged, and there's your motherboard. That's about as far as we're going for this. For cleaning, I did remove everything down to the bare case, and yeah. But that's as far as I'm going right here. The video I linked in the description will go further into detail on that. So just setting everything aside here, just to get it out of my way. Now we have the motherboard, and I'll bring you in closer for this. Make sure you can see it. So if you can see there, I was looking at my board. Your board may be different, of course, but this is what my particular problem was. I was looking at the board, and I noticed there's corrosion coming out of these 5 large capacitors here. Now you can't really see them on video because I did put a black Sharpie over them. I put a black Sharpie over every original capacitor on here, just to keep track of which ones I've removed. I'm only doing these 5 right now, and we'll see if that solves the problem. I ordered these capacitors from Console 5. They're a great company, and they got me sorted out. They sent me these 5 capacitors. And there's also some other parts in there, but they're from a different seller. I bought those off eBay, and I will show you those at the end when we are reassembling. So now that we have the motherboard by itself, I'm here at my soldering station, and we're going to begin desoldering these capacitors. Now, I would recommend you do them one at a time because they do have polarity, and I don't think the polarity is marked on the board. So I would just do it one at a time to keep track of the polarity. And here's the capacitors I have from Console 5. If my voice sounds a little rough today, I'm a bit sick. This is a different day than when I started. Now they come in this roll, and they're pretty hard to get out. What I'd recommend doing, or what I'm going to try to do, is I'm not even going to try to get them off here. I'm just going to clip them as I go, because the polarity is marked on the capacitor. If you can see that right there, polarity is marked on the capacitor. So I'm going to go get some clippers. For this install, I'd recommend using flush cutters, so you can get the leads nice and close to the board so they're not touching the RF shield when we're done. So here we have the motherboard. I've already went ahead and replaced 2 of the capacitors, just so I can make sure I have a good understanding of what I'm doing, because I've never worked on an Xbox motherboard before. But basically what I'm doing is I'm going to the board, back of the board. I'm finding where the pins for the capacitors are. The ones I need are these 3 and then these 2 here. But what I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit of solder to them. Then I'm heating up the legs, the pins, whatever you want to call them. Then I'm just loosening it out. I tried to use solder wick to get the capacitors off. That's not working, and my solder sucker's not working either. So the best way I found is to walk it out and then use the solder wick to get up all the excess solder so I can have access to the holes. But yeah, that's what I'm doing so far. These are the capacitors that come on this tape, and I've just been cutting them like this. Polarity's marked on the capacitor itself, so the legs don't really matter all that much. And yeah, just put them in there, solder it, clip the legs, and you're good to go. I'm just going to go ahead and do that to the other 3 I have left. Alright, so I've replaced all 5 capacitors, and now I've kind of thrown it back together real quick on the bench just to make sure that it works. We have the monitor turned on and everything hooked up. Let's hit the power button and see what happens. And there we go. Life. You know, everything seems to be working good. Oh, never mind. I just remember what I did. I forgot to plug in the power to the disk drive. Let me do that real quick. And there we go. Life, it is working. And all it took was those 5 capacitors. And that was what was holding back this system. Some people might get an Xbox that doesn't start and think it's junk. But really, just a few minutes. I mean, it took me maybe 30 minutes, maybe even less. I wasn't keeping track, to change all those capacitors. And you know, it brought this amazing console back to life. So yeah, let's pop in a game. I got 3 games. I got Halo 2, Morrowind, and San Andreas. We're gonna try San Andreas. All right. Eject works just fine. That's usually one of the failures on these consoles. You see that band right there? That usually goes bad, but in this one it's good. We'll close that. We hear that disc spin to life. Come on. You hear that? And we have on my monitor here Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And of course I got this matching Halo controller. I bought this off eBay because this didn't come with a controller or cable, so I really did buy it untested. And thankfully when I got it home, the only thing it needed was those capacitors. And those capacitors were not expensive at all. I think it was 15 bucks. And that's not that bad. You know, I bought this console for $90, including those including 2 games. Not including the San Andreas. I've had San Andreas, but yeah. It's running good. Everything's running good. Let's get it all buttoned up. And yeah. And here's what I wanted to show you. It's 3D printed feet for the Xbox. And it just goes where the old feet were, and the screw goes through it. And there you go. If you ever have to take your Xbox back apart, you can reuse these feet. And yeah, pretty neat. And there we have it. The original Xbox Halo Special Edition is now working. With just $15 and less than an hour of my time, I resurrected this Xbox from the dead. A lot of other people would just consider throwing it out at that point. But, you know, just a simple fix. Got it up and running, as we can see. So yeah, if you have any electronics that don't function, look up how to fix them first, and maybe you'll be able to do it yourself. But that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.